our live stream on the Dynasty channel yesterday. It was not my favorite draft. We ended up taking Jalen Hurts in the 3rd round. We took Lamar Jackson in the 5th, given the fact that it was best ball. But honestly, based on some of the values we're finding later on in drafts at quarterback, I hated it. And I think we need to go through, and I think that we need to prove ourselves, do a little bit of a better job in this one. It will be difficult because you see all those red badges there. So we are going to have some pretty tough competition. Regardless, super excited to get into this draft. And before we do, as we load up, this site here is pretty cool. If you like me, if you like all your favorite fantasy football creators, and you want some exclusive content, you want rankings, you can find it all on flogfantasy.com. With our launch, when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get 30% off any subscription. And at the same time, you are going to get yours truly breaking down your dynasty team with promo code FLOCK and a Mother Flocker package. Make sure you're taking advantage of that, but I don't want to waste any more of your time. We already have Jefferson. We already have Chase off the board. And we actually got lucky in the draft yesterday where we actually had Justin Jefferson falling to us at pick 2. But honestly, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Those are going to be the 2 players going off the board almost regardless. If I'm going to be pulling up my board, if you go to flogfantasy.com to see my current rankings for 2023 best ball drafts, you'll see that I didn't have CMC at 3. I actually more so rank it, and I didn't have Kelsey at 4. I more so am going to go wide receiver almost regardless in round 1. Would love to get Kupp falling. Kupp does not. Instead, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Tyreek Hill. I just feel so much more comfortable with the running back value we're able to find later on in drafts this year. And I feel very comfortable with the tight end value as well. But that's besides the point. We're going to go Tyreek Hill. I mean, if Tyreek Hill repeats what he did a season ago, I am super happy with this selection at 6. And we also have to think that there's a chance Tua stays healthy. And if Tua stays healthy the entire season, there's a chance Tyreek is a better year this next year. And also, you know, we may be looking at Jalen Waddle on the way back around. I'm not going to shy too much away from our guy Waddle. But thank you so much for everybody coming out to the live stream with us here. I truly do appreciate it. We got Alex, Mark, Suzuki, always out here, of course. Jay Boosties, Robert, Snakehead, Crazed, Lopez, ER17 Scott. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. And if you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. That does help us out a ton, as always. But now we actually have Garrett Wilson sneaking his way in here at 10. I will say, very excited about Garrett Wilson in general, but I cannot, in good faith, take Garrett Wilson over CeeDee Lamb, take Garrett Wilson even over the running backs like Eckler. I mean, we were much lower on Eckler when these drafts opened up than where his ADP was, but still at the same time, I just really don't know if I can get behind Garrett Wilson at pick 10, even if we have Rodgers going over to the Jets. But Jalen Hurts at 12. We actually had Jalen Hurts falling to us in the 3rd round earlier. So this team going with a very unique build, going Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith at the 1-2 turn. You'll see this a lot at the 2-3 turn. And if you're going to be drafting in a massive tournament contest like this on Underdog, there is some value in having that unique build overall. Now, of course, you have to keep in mind that you're going to be going up against a lot of Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith stacks that we're also able to get CMC, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. So it may be a little difficult. Maybe your median projection's a little bit lower, but at the same time, you will have that truly unique build. But oh my gosh, Amon-Ra St. Brown off the board here. We may be getting Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson, or Saquon Barkley falling to us. My initial thought process was we were going to be coming away with Jalen Waddle, but I guess these guys are falling like a rock here. Okay, so we have Eckler goes. Okay, so we are going to come away with Jalen Waddle. Like I said, that's what I thought we were going to do, but we have all these eggs in one basket. Hopefully, Tua stays healthy. Hopefully, Tua continues to improve, which is a possibility. I understand that everybody hates Tua. If Miami were to be the #1 overall passing offense in the NFL this next season, of course, our team has a crap ton of upside, but what's the probability of that actually happening? But Alex says, what kind of draft are you in? This is going to be the big board draft on Underdog. $10 buy-in, $1 million prize pool. Of course, I'm sure that you've already drafted a lot of these teams on Underdog. And if whoever's watching this hasn't, you can sign up for Underdog Fantasy with the link in the comment section, the link in the description, the link in the live chat. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. And you're going to get our Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. 20 says, imagine Miami with a quarterback upgrade. Now, I don't want to sit here and act like I'm the biggest fan ever of Tua, but I do think that people are unfairly harsh to him. I mean, yes, he had a couple concussions this past season. I mean, we all remember the game against Cincinnati where it was like, oh my gosh, the NFL had some tough games this year in terms of primetime games, serious injuries. But anyway, if we're going to go through and look at what Tua did this past season, I mean, the man went out there, had 25 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I understand if we're going to be looking at the totals, they're skewed given what we had in terms of him missing time. But if we're going from an adjusted yards per pass attempt standpoint, Tua literally led the NFL in adjusted yards per pass attempt. Like, I don't want to sit here and say Tua is the best quarterback in the NFL. Of course he's not. But I don't know. I feel like at this point, we actually have people probably too low on Tua. The top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL in adjusted yards per pass attempt: Tua, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Tua's, it's not like they need to replace him. I understand he could definitely be better, but I don't know. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Derrick Henry here. I mean, Derrick Henry, yes, has some serious red flags compared to where he was a year ago, but compared to where he was in 2021. With Derrick Henry, he's going to be 29 this next season. So you don't love the super old running back, but at the same time, we're drafting him in the 3rd round here. Okay. Yes, probably the worst offense he's been in quite some time. Yes, he is older than he's ever been. But instead of having to go out there and pay a higher price tag than you've ever had to, such as Travis Kelce at pick 4, you are getting that baked into the Derrick Henry price with him coming down here to pick 30. So I don't want to act like it's phenomenal value. I don't want to act like we're jumping up and down to take Derrick Henry here. Like I said, I am fully aware that there are some serious red flags, but at the same time, I do feel like it's priced in a bit. Taylor says, I can't use Underdog in Hawaii. Yes, there are a few spots you can't use Underdog. I'm very sorry, my friend. Can't use Underdog in Hawaii, Michigan, Louisiana, Washington. I think there's one state in the Northeast you can't. In the 99% of states you can. I mean, I lived in Florida last year. You could. I lived in Texas the year before. I just need to download their little graph in which shows what you can and cannot do. Luke says, Mason, where are you? I am in our new place, my friend. This is a temporary studio we have going on, but we'll build something out, make it a little bit better. I feel like, let me know what y'all think of the studio. Okay, Michael says Connecticut's the Northeast state that Underdog's not available in. Thank you, my friend. But please let me know what y'all think of this background, this little studio that we have going. Let me know if you think it's good for a little temporary setup. Like I said, I'm going to definitely try to improve it the best I can. Now, that team that took Jalen Hurts at 12 goes ahead and they take another pair of quarterback and wide receiver. They have the Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith stack, as well as the Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert stack. Sam says Nevada. Okay, yeah, I forgot about Nevada. Steve says, hey, Mason, what do you think of the moves the Panthers have made in their offense so far? I mean, they really didn't have many options. I think they're doing the best they can with a horrendous situation. I mean, I don't think you can be excited about Carolina, but I mean, really, you get everybody you can. You get Adam Thielen, you get DJ Chark. What else can you do? Ryan says, watch your videos religiously last year and won my league. Thanks for the info. Too bad we missed on Duvernay being a dark horse. First off, thank you, my friend, for coming out. Second off, I'll say if you were drafting Duvernay in the 18th round on Underdog last year, very few picks that were better than that, to be honest. I feel like we hit on Devin Duvernay in a big-time way. Obviously, in the casual redraft format, it's going to be a little bit different, but okay. Let's swing this back around. So we have Andrews going off the board, pick 40. Justin Fields falling a decent amount here. There was a team that took DJ Moore early, okay? So this team trooper took DJ Moore, pick 34. Very surprised to see that they decide not to grab Justin Fields on the way back around. I mean, I'm not the biggest Justin Fields guy in the world. Y'all definitely know that. I think Justin Fields is a quarterback that has a very low floor. I mean, the Chicago Bears were the worst passing offense in the NFL last season, and 100%, I think, from a long-term value proposition. Like in Dynasty, I don't really know what to do with Justin Fields. I definitely wouldn't draft him round one of a Superflex startup. But we can be fair, and we can say the Chicago Bears will be putting much better pieces around Fields this next season. And with his rushing upside, it is in the range of outcomes for him to be the quarterback one overall in fantasy. Now, if he is going in the third round, where he has an ADP of pick 34, I will probably never draft him. But if we're going to get him here, pick 43, I feel like it's going to be a fair price point, especially if we're trying to have that unique build. I feel like there are going to be very few teams that are able to do what we just did here. But what sucks is now that we take Fields 43, we cannot draft Lamar Jackson 54. We're literally not allowed to do it because we have to try to go after Tua later on with our double stack with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Okay. Suzuki says our background's good for now. Please, guys, we have 180 people out here. We're going to get one opinion on our backdrop. Can y'all please let me know, is this background good enough to get by for quite some time? Or should this be something you're like, Mason, you know what? You got to upgrade this right away. I don't know how long we can be looking at the wood behind you. Please let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, so Hawkinson goes, London goes. We're really hoping that a team decides to go ahead and take Lamar Jackson here. Like I said, I've been drafting a lot of Lamar Jackson in the 5th round, but we simply can't take him when we go Justin Fields in the 4th. Okay, Terry McLaurin, 52. Adrian asking if we think the big board will fill up before the draft. Oh, it definitely will. Like, let me go ahead. After our next pick, I'll show you how close this is to filling in general. So Pittman goes. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Christian Kirk. I mean, I like the wide receiver here, just given the fact that in the coming rounds, running back will be the best value on the board. So I don't want to take Dalvin Cook and then feel like we're having to reach on a wide receiver in round 6, round 7. In my mind, I really like taking running backs this year in that range. But yeah, if you look at how the big board's filled up, like you better get in some drafts here now. They have already had like over 100,000 entrants in this bad boy. And it hasn't been open that long. It opened up a couple days before the Super Bowl. I was in Arizona with the Underdog crew for the Super Bowl when they opened this. So, yeah, I mean, that was like a month ago, and there have been 100,000 entrants. So, there are only like 12,000 left. Definitely go join Underdog right now and get your drafts in if you want to get into this tournament in particular. They'll have tournaments all offseason, though. Okay. So, we have Lawrence going 59. Lamar goes directly after us, 55. Once we take Christian Kirk, 54, I mean, there is always the small thought in the back of your mind going, oh, okay, well, what happens if Lawrence makes it back to us at 67? I'd be very happy with that scenario, but reality is just not the case. Okay. Now, Market Word coming out says, I mean, with joining our membership, thank you so much, my friend. I think you were the first person to be a member on this channel. That is awesome. Thank you so much. And I am not too privy of YouTube memberships. I don't really know how they work. This is like our first time launching them. I'm trying to pull up the live chat. So if you go to where you were to hit a super chat, like the memberships aren't there. So I don't know, where can you join to be a member? I still don't really understand this, but it is what it is. Okay. Foster says, I just noticed you're in my draft. I'm at the one. Good luck. Thank you so much, my man, for coming and stopping by the live stream. At the 101, I mean, looks like a very standard start. I mean, I think you get such an advantage being in the early first where you're able to go through, you're able to start with that cornerstone wide receiver to build around. And then I think 2-3 turn, a lot of the running backs there are going to be the prime values. Okay, now swinging this back around. Jahmyr Gibbs does fall. Like we were discussing, I mean, I really love the running back value that you're getting round 6, round 7 right now. I mean, not necessarily always round 7, but definitely round 6. I'm fine with Kyle Pitts here, but very rarely are you going to get Jahmyr Gibbs falling to us at pick 67 if we're trying to come away with a unique build. I'm fine taking Jahmyr Gibbs here as our first rookie. 20 says member-only streams would be cool. Yeah, I know we can change the chat to like members only. I don't want to do that until we have a few members. Like if I change the chat to members only right now, Mark War is going to be the only person that can go through and chat, and I'd love to talk to him, but I'd rather have some more people in here as well. Mark Ward says, found it next to the super chat button. How the hell? I do not have it there. I do not know, my friend. Okay. So Tony, Deontay Johnson go off the board. I mean, Deontay Johnson was a wide receiver I was drafting a ton last year. Just thinking, okay, the target share is not going to be going away even with Ben Roethlisberger leaving. Ben Roethlisberger wasn't any good in 2021. I mean, Deontay Johnson was just one of the least efficient, if not the most inefficient wide receiver in the entire NFL. So, I mean, it's not the prettiest situation in the world for Deontay. I drafted him a lot last year. I don't know if I can again. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Dameon Pierce. It sucks that we just keep on taking the players to the very top of ADP. But in my mind, Dameon Pierce, by far and away the best value here. I understand you have Devin Singletary going over to Houston, and people are worried about Dameon Pierce for that reason. Trust me, I am not a Devin Singletary fan. So maybe I'm a little bit biased with this. And I wasn't even drafting Dameon Pierce that much last year. And I wish I was drafting him everywhere, of course, with how good he did. But the Houston Texans offense will be better this next season than they were last year. With the addition of Devin Singletary, what did we think was going to happen? Did we think the Houston Texans were going to go through the entire offseason and then on the depth chart, you were going to have Dameon Pierce and nothing behind him? No, you have to go out there and get running back depth. Just like any other position, you need to go out there. You need to have a running back 2. You need to have a running back 3. So in my mind, I actually am going to be completely fine with Dameon Pierce in round, honestly, late 6, early round 7. I'll be drafting the hell out of him here, even if there's still the risk that they possibly go out there and address the running back position in the NFL draft. Okay, Ben says it's only for Android, Mason. Okay. Ben says it's not on iPhone yet, only desktop and Android. So how do I get the potential memberships to show up? Because like I said, I have an iPhone. I use YouTube all the freaking time. Like it's like the only content that I consume is on YouTube. Like I would like to make the Dynasty channel a member of the main channel. I would like that. Nolan says Apple doesn't want to give up the revenue. Oh, okay. Is it like the 30% thing where Apple gets 30% of any transaction revenue in the App Store? Can I join as a member on Safari? Is it just can't be in the app? Okay, so Tyler Algier, 85. Dak Prescott, 86. I mean, we are going to be looking for Tua. The question always is do you reach to get him a little bit early to guarantee that you have the stack? Or are we going to go ahead and we're going to reach on Tua, pick 91, because we kind of need him if we have both Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. The only way that this team has any shot to go out there and win the big board this next year is if Miami is the top 3 passing offense overall. So you really want to double down. You really want to take Tua. But at the same time, I'm never willing to reach on anybody. So ADP 95. We'll see what we get on the way back around. We have a lot of values making to us. Dobbins goes 89. I was taking Dobbins easily. Okay. Speaking of trying to come up with unique builds, the amount of people that are getting... This draft is letting us have some values. We're going to go Javonte Williams, 91. Javonte Williams will be a running back that probably isn't even there at the beginning of the season. Javonte Williams is someone that you're drafting for weeks 15, 16, 17, but that's where all the money is in these underdog drafts anyway. So even if Javonte Williams will have a lower advance rate than a lot of other players in this range, I mean, I'm going to be completely fine going out there and taking him at 91, just given the fact that if he does break out the way you want him to, it will be exactly when you need him to. And I think this is a fair price point to be investing into him. Picking 91 Javonte Williams. I mean, serious red flags, but what are we doing here? Steve says, Mason, who is this year's Josh Jacobs? I don't know, my friend. I will. So last offseason, we wrote over 300 pages of draft guides. That, in my mind, helped us out a decent amount. If y'all don't know, last year, and you will know by now because I'm going to say it in every single live stream, I won $150,000 on Underdog. I won multiple high stakes tournaments. I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania. You will not find a better person you will not find someone who had more success over a large sample. Of course, there are different tournaments on Underdog that had a bigger prize pool overall than 150,000. But if you're looking at our advance rates, if you're looking at the fact we win multiple high stakes tournaments, and at the same time, we got 16th place in Best Ball Mania, we crushed it. I don't think anybody comes close. Now, at the same time, Josh Jacobs was my most drafted guy. Waddle was our second most drafted guy, and Mahomes was sitting there at 3. So we did get a little lucky, I'll say. And at this point, I have no idea who our next most drafted player will be for 2023. It's going to take a lot of time to find that out. Okay, Lance goes 99. Okay, come on. We need Tua. We get Tua. I love this team. We get Tua. I love this team. Yep, Rashad Penny goes 101. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get Tua 102. This is one of my favorite teams I've drafted on Underdog this offseason. Wide receiver, we're going to be a little bit thin. We're definitely going to have to focus in on trying to bring in depth a little later on. We have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Christian Kirk. Running back, we're rolling with Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Damian Pierce, and Javonte Williams. Quarterback, we have Justin Fields, Tua. Of course, we don't have Justin Fields stacked with DJ Moore. To be honest, I don't care. I'm expecting the Chicago Bears to have no passing volume at all this next season. And if Justin Fields does hit, if he becomes a league-winning player in the 4th round, it's going to be because he leads the NFL in rushing at the quarterback position. Okay. So our next question coming out from Austin. Thank you, my friend, says, keep 2. We have CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, and Mike Evans. I mean, in my mind, we're going Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb. We don't need to think about this at all. Now, of course, if there are different keeper costs associated, and maybe if like JT cost a 1st round pick and then say T. Higgins cost a 15th round pick, then maybe we go through and we change our answer. But this time, Lamb, Taylor are by far and away the best players in that group. Okay. Now, Khalil Herbert going 107, Kamara going 105. I'll say I've been drafting a lot of the old, dusty 2017 running backs, guys like Alvin Kamara, James Conner in these drafts, if I'll be honest. Yeah, I think Kamara and Conner are some of my most drafted players. People hate them, and clearly they're plummeting, and clearly they have red flags, but it's all about the price point you're getting them at. Okay, so we can take a 3rd quarterback because this is a 20-round draft. But we can't take a 3rd quarterback for quite some time. We're going to have to sit here. We're going to have to wait a bit. I understand a lot of people are going to say, oh, you have Justin Fields. Let's go get Mooney. Let's go get Mooney. Let's go get Mooney. Probably it's the right thing to do, but in reality, I may take Zay Flowers if he falls instead. Jayan out here says basketball if we win to the Final Four. Yes, I have not watched a single UT basketball game this year. Hook 'em horns. If y'all don't know, I graduated from UT. But I will definitely tune in. We're in the Elite 8. They earned it. They'll get my view. They'll get my viewership. I believe we play today. I definitely need to look up when that's happening. And I need to figure out if I'm going to have a way to watch the game or if I'm going to actually have to go somewhere for it. Okay. So I will tell you what a smart person would do, and I'm going to do what myself, an idiot, will do. A smart person goes, okay, we took Justin Fields. We're getting Darnell Mooney at a slight value. We're going to go ahead and we are going to create that stack. That's what a smart person would do. But because I'm an idiot, I think Zay Flowers is just a much, 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 much better option than Darnell Mooney in general. And I'm going to not go for the stack. And instead, we're going to rely on our double stack of the Miami Dolphins offense with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Tua. And instead, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Zay Flowers here at 115 over Darnell Mooney. If Mooney makes it back, of course, we'll take him. He has an ADP of 109. Our next pick isn't until pick 126. So most likely that won't be the case, but it is what it is. Okay, Jayan says UT plays at 4. Okay, we may be live then. After this, I'm going to have to go ahead. I'm going to have to get another live stream going. We've just been incredibly busy, so I have a lot of work I need to do. Paul says the tournament has been pretty good this year. I am not exaggerating when I say I have watched a total of 0 seconds of college basketball this year. Last year, I can't guarantee it, but I probably also watched 0 seconds of college basketball. Maybe I watched a game or two. I don't know. I'm not a big college basketball guy. Now, Cousins goes 120, Jared Goff 121. Matt says, just finished up my big board drafts. My top owned players are Justin Fields, Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Brian Robinson. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, let me go ahead and let me pull up my most drafted players. Okay. I am assuming Connor's going to be at the top. My most drafted player, Will Levis. The man literally goes round 19. I will take him in every single draft. And I actually have Anthony Richardson as my 5th most drafted player because back then he was going round 19 right alongside Will Levis, and I would take him in every single draft. Outside of that, we have Trey Lance, Jalen Waddle, Elijah Mitchell, Alvin Kamara. Elijah Mitchell is a little bit harder to draft now. Same thing with Anthony Richardson, just because they've gone up so much with their ADP. But before that, it was very easy. Okay. Derek Carr goes, we can't take QB, so we're going to be looking running back, wide receiver, tight ends. I don't necessarily think that he is good, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Dalton Schultz. I mean, 126, I feel like is a fair price to pay. We took him in the draft yesterday. Super simple analysis. We need a tight ends. He has very little target competition. What sucks about him is he plays in a horrible offense, so he's not going to score a lot of touchdowns. We have Dameon Pierce, so maybe we're making a bet that whatever rookie quarterback they grab is able to turn around the Houston Texans, and it can be a respectable offense. And then at that point, maybe Dameon Pierce and Dalton Schultz both exceed their ADP in terms of value. I'm fine with them at 126. Adrian says, would you have gone with Daniel Jones if Tua didn't make it back to you? Okay, so Daniel Jones picked 94, my friend. So Daniel Jones goes over Tua here. If you're asking, would I rather have Daniel Jones versus some of the players that go directly after, such as Rashad White, Jacoby Myers, Alvin Kamara, probably Daniel Jones has some rushing upside. I definitely want to be looking at our most drafted player, Will Levis, in the 19th round in this draft. Like we said, I mean, if you're looking at a quarterback that's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick that has rushing upside, in my mind, he is the easiest player to ever draft. Even if everybody's convinced that he's going to be a horrible real-life quarterback, I'm smart enough to know that nobody knows what they're talking about, including myself, in terms of quarterback evaluation coming from college to the NFL. So we're just going to rely on NFL draft capital, indicating job security, and we are also going to rely on rushing upside. Okay. Now, Zay Flowers, 134. Taysom Hill, 133. So like I said, I don't think Dalton Schultz is particularly that good, but if we're looking at the other tight ends in this range, I'm not going to take Taysom Hill in a single draft if he's going 11th, 12th round. I'll be the first person to admit I should have drafted him a ton last year when he was going in the 17th, 18th, and the people who were doing so made a phenomenal decision. But it's going to be difficult for me to do so. Now, Cole Kmet's the easiest pick in the world if he falls to us here. We are going to get the Justin Fields stack. I mean, there's no clear value that I feel like we have to take advantage of, like where we took Zay Flowers, pick 115, where we passed up on Darnell Mooney there, passed up on the stack. Yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get Cole Kmet. We'll stack him up with Justin Fields. So I actually really like our team. It's crazy to say this is probably, in my mind, the best draft we've had all offseason, even if we have Justin Fields. And y'all know I'm not the biggest Fields fan, but quarterback, we're rolling with Justin Fields, Tua. I think it's a possibility that we have more quarterback points in this league than anybody else. Of course, it's not likely, but it's a possibility. Wide receiver, we had Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle stacked up with Tua. We have Christian Kirk, wide receiver 3, Zay Flowers, wide receiver 4. Running back, Derrick Henry, 30, Gibbs, 67, Dameon Pierce, 78, Javonte Williams, 91, and then tight end, Dalton Schultz and Cole Kmet. I love this team. I actually really like this team. I would not expect to say that, but Nolan says I'll serve Kmet to you. Nolan, are you in this draft? Margo Word says the number 2 pick is on the board. Who wants to be the channel's second overall member? Go for it. Yes. Of course, I would genuinely appreciate it if anybody wanted to be a member of the channel. What I'm looking forward to is whenever we have a lot of the little flock things and we're going to be able to go through and like have people create emojis where members can use and stuff. I mean, I think it'll be fun to have like member only live streams and stuff this season. Okay. Adrian says, how do you feel about the running backs the Bills signed? I mean, if we're looking at Damian Harris, I think it's, in my mind, being overblown, very similar to the Singletary signing, where Singletary signing lets us get Dameon Pierce 78. I mean, if you were looking at Damian Harris going over to Buffalo, yeah, it means James Cook's probably not going to have the goal line role. Yeah, it means James Cook's probably not going to be getting 20-plus touches a game, which is what we already knew going into the season. Like, nobody ever thought that you actually had the possibility of James Cook coming away with that kind of workload. So, I don't know. I think it's overblown, to be honest. Okay. I have my eyes on a single player. Stafford goes 149. We have Schultz. We have Pierce. A lot of people are making it sound like Bryce Young will be the first quarterback off the board. I'm sorry, the quarterback off the board for the Houston Texans in this year's draft. When we invest this early on in the quarterback position in an 18-round draft, I am not going to be taking a third guy, but specifically if we can potentially get a double stack of Bryce Young, Dalton Schultz, Dameon Pierce, where nobody else will have him, I'll be fine with it. And like I said, I think we can go ahead and we can take the third quarterback here. Given the fact that it's 20 rounds, I would probably prefer to do so in round 14, but the only way I feel very bad about this is if we have Anthony Richardson making it back to us in round 14, then the Bryce Young selection was horrible. Now, A to Z coming out with the donation. Thank you, my friend. Says, hey, Mason, in a full point PPR Superflex Dynasty, would you accept the 209 for Elijah Moore? I feel like that's shipping him for too low. Hell no. I'd way rather have Elijah Moore over the 209. If you would have asked me before his trade to Cleveland, then I would think it'd be a little close. But what I'm very excited about in terms of Elijah Moore going over to Cleveland, not only is it, in my mind, probably a perfect fit, but at the same time, I'm excited to see the price point that they actually give up to go out there and get Elijah Moore. It's not like they traded just some random 6th round pick that was never going to turn into anything. They actually paid a decent amount to go out of their way and get him, which tells me that the NFL still values Elijah Moore and his talents. So yeah, I'm actually very excited about Elijah Moore, and I wouldn't be selling him for the 209. Okay. Now, Jawan Johnson goes 156. Isaiah Hodgins 157. Like I said, I will feel very bad about our Bryce Young selection if Anthony Richardson makes it back. Because in my mind, I think in a vacuum, from a fantasy football perspective, especially if we're shooting for upside, you'd probably rather have Richardson over Young. We take Young here because it looks like he will be on the Houston Texans. We have a couple Texans on our roster as is. But Richardson goes 159. So it looks like we're not having to worry about that too much. And that's actually Trooper's first QB off the board. He's been going a little wild here. He took Fournette 154, Zeke 135. Sheed goes. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get Gallup. I mean, I actually have been drafting Gallup a decent amount. Now, I completely understand. Yes, you have Brandon Cooks coming over, and yes, Brandon Cooks will probably be scoring more fantasy points than Gallup this next season. I still believe that Gallup is a talented wide receiver. I think that the Dallas Cowboys offense may have more passing volume this next year. And if we're looking at Gallup, he was a wide receiver I overdrafted last season, but I think maybe it's a possibility that the reason was he just wasn't ready coming off the torn ACL. Maybe he needs a little bit more time. Maybe this next year, Michael Gallup will be the player that we thought he was. So I'll be completely fine going out there and getting him at 163. Rizzy says, in PPR redraft leagues, are wide receivers the move early over running backs? Yes, but I don't necessarily think it's an easy thing to just say in general. I mean, I understand that people want to say, oh, wide receiver over running back and make themselves sound smart and say, I'm on the right team, blah, blah, blah. In reality, it is so much more nuanced than that. It has a lot to do with the actual format that you're going to be playing in. It has a lot to do with the exact league settings you have and the value that you'll find elsewhere. So I have drafted a crap ton of wide receivers round 1, round 2 of these underdog drafts so far. Like if I'm going to go through, if I'm going to look at how much, let me pull up my entire exposure. I have drafted literally 0 Christian McCaffrey. I have drafted 0 Jonathan Taylor. I've drafted 1 team with Bijan Robinson out of all of them. I've drafted 2 teams with Austin Eckler out of all of them. And I've drafted 1 team with Saquon Barkley out of all of them. So I really have not drafted any running backs round 1, round 2. But the main reason is because on underdog, I'm getting Dameon Pierce pick 78. It's Dameon Pierce or Gabe Davis. I'm getting Javonte Williams 91. It's Javonte Williams, Jordan Addison, or Cortland Sutton. In my mind, these running backs round 7, 8 are so much more compelling than the wide receivers. I'll make a slightly suboptimal decision early on with going with maybe, say, Tyreek Hill over Jonathan Taylor or Tyreek Hill over Austin Eckler, whatever you think maybe is suboptimal, because I think we are crushing people when we're not having to take, say, Rashad Bateman over Javonte Williams. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's swing this back around. Okay. What are we doing? I don't know. We need some wide receiver depth. We're taking Claypool as our wide receiver 6 here. We have Justin Fields. So now we have the double stack of Justin Fields with Chase Claypool, Cole Kmet. We have the double stack of Tua with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. We presumably have the double stack of Bryce Young with Dameon Pierce as well as Dalton Schultz. If we look at all of these players as well, what in my mind makes a lot of sense is we got every single one of these guys behind ADP. Fields pick 43, ADP 34. His stack options: Claypool 174, ADP 171. Cole Kmet 139, ADP 131. Tua, we got 102, ADP 95. Tyreek Hill, we got pick 6, ADP 5. Waddle, pick 19, ADP 18. Bryce Young, we got pick 150, ADP 149. Dameon Pierce, 78, ADP 68. And Dalton Schultz, 126, ADP 125. So in my mind, being able to come away with all of those double stacks and not having to go through and reach on a single player out of that list of 9 guys, even if we're only getting them slightly behind ADP, is a massive win. Okay. Now, real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 100 likes on this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there and drop a like. And if you want to get in our next draft, we are doing this very often. I drafted over 700 teams on Underdog last year. You can find the link in the live chat, find it in the description. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get your first deposit matched dollar for dollar up to 100. Now, Chuba Hubbard 180, Singletary 178. I have no idea what we're doing here. This is why Will Levis is my most drafted player. Look at all these names going ahead of Will Levis. In my mind, Will Levis is the single greatest value in all of underdog drafts right now. You're getting him in the last round every single time. His ADP is behind Jerome Ford, Allen Robinson, Deontay Hardy. What the hell are we talking about here? I personally can't take Levis because we have Fields, Tua, and Bryce Young. 9 out of 10 of these drafts are more like 6 out of 10. I would go through and I'd take those 2 quarterbacks early. Then in the very last round or the second to last round, I'll just take Will Levis. I thought the opportunity for Bryce Young was decent just given the way this team was constructed. But like Will Levis has some rushing upside. He's not Anthony Richardson, but he has some rushing upside. We'll go ahead. We'll take Tim Patrick. I mean, reports came out. KJ Hamler sounds like he is Going to be missing the majority of the offseason. Tim Patrick tore the ACL before the season even started. I think it's a fair price point, 187, especially if we have one of Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy getting traded. Then at that point, I think you have Tim Patrick going up significantly with ADP. BSP says, I agree. I have 25% Levis. I have over 50% Levis. And if y'all know last year when I say, oh, Jacobs was my most drafted guy, Waddle was my second most drafted guy, Mahomes was my third. I think my ownership with Jacobs was at 20%. I don't necessarily go out and take those super hard stances because I understand that, it's very difficult to be that confident in a take and be just 100% confident that you're right. It was very lucky what ended up happening with us. But I don't know. I just don't see how it goes wrong taking Will Levis behind Jerome Ford. In my mind, even as a quarterback 4, I'm fine with it. Okay, Dalton Kincaid goes 193. We definitely need another tight end. So it will be something we're on the lookout for. We can't really take another QB. We're running back, wide receiver, tight end from here on out. Marvin Mims, 195. Yeah, so this looks like it's going to be a 3-6-8 build. This team needs a tight end. I know they have Kelsey. Never mind. They don't need a tight end. We're going to go ahead. We are just going to go all in on the Houston Texans offense, aren't we? Cole Hardman goes. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Robert Woods. This team is banking on a few things. If this happens with this team, we win the $100,000 big board. Of course, probability is tiny, but better than a lotto ticket. We need the Chicago Bears to somehow, some way, be an above average offense this upcoming season. We need the Miami Dolphins to be a top 3 passing offense in the NFL. And we need the Houston Texans to be at least average. The Texans are average, and we hit on Dameon Pierce in the 7th, Dalton Schultz in the 11th, Bryce Young in the 13th, Robert Woods in the 17th. Could be a good team. Could be a sneaky team, but we'll see. And that also is assuming that Bryce Young ends up going over to the Houston Texans. Okay, Michael Carter, 202. Let's see. So it looks like we are running back tight end through the rest of this. We need 2 running backs and a tight end. Our running backs right now are Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Dameon Pierce, Javonte Williams. Our tight ends are Dalton Schultz as well as Cole Kmet. James Robinson goes 207. Robinson in theory is the perfect fit to play alongside Ramondre Stevenson. You have Stevenson catching passes. You have you have James Robinson being the first and second down grinder, but he also has no guaranteed money on that contract, so it is tough. Tannehill 208, great. Take as many of these QBs off. The thing is, you have Burrow, Mac Jones here. Obviously, it benefits us, but how do you not take Will Levis? Full transparency, it benefits us to take Levis, but goes Desmond Ridder. This team goes Will Levis with Lamar and Kyler. My mind, it's just a no-brainer. We'll go ahead and we'll take Zach Evans. No idea if Zach Evans is going to be good or not. A running back that has flashed elite traits, but at the same time, a running back that has never commanded a large workload. So it's really hard to know exactly who Zach Evans is. But at the same time, we're taking him after Michael Carter. We're just swinging for the fences here, saying, okay, well, what if he can be a running back 3 in fantasy? If he's a running back 3 in fantasy, we love the pick here. Okay. But as always, we're going to cut this around round 18. I like to try to mix things up a bit. Round 19, round 20. I don't want people to be copying exactly what I'm doing in the last rounds here. I want to have some unique players, but let me show off the entire draft board. I'm super happy about this. I'm honestly going to change the title of this to the perfect 2023 fantasy football draft. But thank you again for everything, ladies and gentlemen. I truly do appreciate you. If you want to get in our next draft, make sure you go sign up for an Underdog Fantasy. Link in the live chat, link in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up 200 so you can see if you like it. And then also you'll get our 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings. But if you already signed up for Underdog and you want to get those in another place, we have those on flockfantasy.com alongside all your other favorite creators' rankings. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Truly do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day and really hope we get to see you with the live stream probably later in the week.